Part 165. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1651. In the void of the Holy Dragon domain, two rays of golden-eyed heavenly rules shot through the sky, dazzling and dazzling, containing terrifying destructive power, and instantly arrived in front of Tianyu Dragon Lord. But Tianyu Dragon Lord's dragon body wandered in the void, and finally performed the Emperor's magic. The god of heaven lost his mind and life destruction technique. This immortal Emperor-level Dragon Lord, his dragon body quickly surrounded the void, and actually attracted the void to surround Wu Yu's entire body. The endless void pressure pressed down on the circle formed by his dragon body. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Wu Yu's golden-eyed heavenly rules that had just burst out suddenly bombarded the void outside the dragon's body. The void was like a substance, directly resisting the golden-eyed heavenly rules, and then it was completely annihilated in the void. This is the divine art of the Emperor Immortal. Wu Yu felt the endless pressure from the void all around him, and he had a bad feeling. The Tianyu Emperor realm in Tianyu Dragon Lord's body was now constantly emitting terrifying imperial power, which completely enveloped the surrounding void, and his dragon body formed a circle, constantly shrinking towards where Wu Yu was. The strong pressure made it extremely difficult for Wu Yu to even breathe. It was as if this void had completely become the territory of Tianyu Dragon Lord. This is the art of the lost god of heaven and the destruction of life. Wu Yu's heart was shocked. This move of the divine art of the Emperor Immortal was more terrifying and powerful than the two moves of the divine art of the Emperor that Tianyu Dragon Lord had just performed. It was not even on the same level, and it completely crushed him. Faced with this move, I actually felt that I could only retreat, but the void around Wu Yu was constantly broken, and it kept exerting a strong pressure on him. This power suddenly gave him a feeling, because he had spent the previous 4,000 years comprehending the way of the void and trying to break through to the realm of the eight heavenly immortal king, but he had never succeeded. However, the Shangtian loss of mind and life destruction technique currently displayed by Tianyu Longzun contained an extremely powerful way of the void. Moreover, this was the way of the void from the eternal Emperor Immortal. If he could resist it head-on, it would be of great benefit to Wu Yu, and he might even comprehend something from it and speed up his breakthrough to the eight heavenly immortal king. So originally, Wu Yu was ready to somersault and escape from this range, but before leaving, he stopped, and the entire golden ape's body quickly swelled. The way of size, the magical power of the law of heaven and earth, was displayed to the extreme by him at this moment, and the entire golden ape suddenly became a giant, standing proudly in that void. A manic roar came from the golden ape. At the same time, the power of the flesh and blood heavenly rules and the power of the battle heavenly rules surrounded his body at the same time, resisting the strong pressure from the surrounding void. "You didn't run away." Tianyu Longzun was a little surprised, but when he saw that Wu Yu really didn't run away, he immediately snorted coldly, thinking that this move could decide the outcome. The previous two moves of the Emperor's magical power, the temptation of the blue sky and the calamity fire, had already made him understand Wu Yu's specific strength. The current Shangkang's lost soul floating life destruction technique can definitely completely crush and defeat Wu Yu. Even if Wu Yu didn't leave this void, it was not impossible for him to be killed in the void shattering. Of course, if Wu Yu was killed by Tianyu Longzun in the battle, the Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Lords would definitely not say anything. After all, if he couldn't beat Tianyu Longzun, he couldn't prove that he was a genius. If he wasn't a genius, what would it matter if he died? But now Wu Jun and Luo Ben are already very nervous. They see that in front of them, the void has been completely surrounded by Tianyu Dragon Lord, and the void in it keeps breaking. The heaven's loss of soul and life destruction technique is an extremely terrifying method of the Emperor Immortal divine art. Even if other immortal emperors encounter it, they must be careful to deal with it, otherwise they may be killed by the explosion of the void if they are not careful. You can imagine how powerful it is. And Wu Yu actually chose to resist this Emperor Immortal Divine Art? The Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Lords couldn't help but shook their heads. If they had a glimmer of hope for Wu Yu before, now they have completely lost their ideas. There is no doubt that Wu Yu will lose. In the center of the storm, the void is broken. Wu Yu's golden ape body is surrounded by the flesh and blood heavenly rules and the battle heavenly rules, but these heavenly rules are like paper under the bombardment of the opponent's Emperor Immortal Divine Art, and are constantly destroyed. Soon Wu Yu can feel the pressure of the void breaking around him. In this storm of void shattering, Wu Yu felt like a small boat, drifting helplessly in the wind and rain. Once the two powers of the flesh and blood heavenly rules and the battle heavenly rules were completely shattered in the void, his Vajra indestructible body might not be able to withstand it for too long. However, Wu Yu still had no intention of escaping. Even though he was completely crushed now, his mind was immersed in the constant shattering of the surrounding void. The way of the void was the eighth heavenly rule power that Wu Yu had envisioned. Once he understood it, he would be able to break through to the eight heavenly immortal king. In any case, as long as he could succeed, he would still have a certain chance to fight against Tianyu Longzun with his increased strength. If other people were facing this situation, they would probably have run away long ago, as far as they could run, but Wu Yu persisted, and the flesh and blood heavenly rules and the battle heavenly rules around his body were soon completely destroyed in the void shattering. His golden ape body began to face the broken void around him. Tianyu Longzun saw all this in his eyes. He could clearly see that the golden monkey hair on Wu Yu's body of the golden ape was caught in the shattering void and was instantly wiped out. Even the golden ape was wiped out. His flesh and blood began to shatter together with the void. But Tianyu Longzun did not see that in the body of the golden ape, golden scriptures were constantly flashing and swimming. These golden scriptures came from the indestructible body of Vajra. This supreme body forging magical power was preserved at this moment. Wu Yu's life. To Wu Yu, the shattered void around him was not much different from the countless cuts his body received when he was practicing the immortal Vajra immortal realm. As the void continued to shatter, his body was continuously exploded, and flesh and blood flew everywhere, but he did not fall down anyway. Void. Void. Amidst the countless shattered voids around him, Wu Yu concentrated his mind and realized that the pain his body suffered was absolutely unbearable for ordinary people, but he endured it forcefully and even practiced in this state. When it comes to desperate efforts, there may not be anyone in the entire heaven who is as desperate as he is, and he has even risked his life to practice. If other immortals encountered this situation, they would probably admit defeat first and think about it slowly, but Wu Yu would not. He would never admit defeat in this battle and must defeat Tianyu Longzun to prove himself. The god's absence of God, floating life, and destruction technique caused the void in the area near him to continuously break, reorganize, break and reorganize again. No matter how the void changes, it will soon return to its original state. The total amount of space seems to never increase or decrease. Originally, Wu Yu had not noticed this, but now, the void is shattering around him. Thousands of times, he finally figured out a secret of the void. The power of the void cannot become one's own power. Even gods can only understand the void and use it. For example, Tianyu Longzun, he did not exert the power of void shattering, but shattered the originally existing void. And after the void is broken, he can break the void endlessly, using this to produce terrifying lethality. Wu Yu's eyes were filled with golden light, and his fiery golden eyes allowed him to clearly see the details of the fragmenting void around him, and even gradually, he was able to avoid the most intense area of the fragmented void. His golden ape body actually started to swim in this exploding void. Although it was difficult, Tianyu Dragon Lord was shocked to find that this kid was slowly trying to avoid the most violent shattering in the void. He would go wherever it had just been broken, because the void in that place had not yet been completely restored. During this process, Wu Yu's golden ape body had even been destroyed countless times, but under the lingering power of flesh and blood, he still recovered quickly. The broken body brought him unimaginable pain, but he gritted his teeth and devoted himself to the road to the void. Humph, naive. Seeing Wu Yu looking for a breakthrough, Tianyu Longzun couldn't help but sneered, his eyes filled with contempt. How can it be so easy to break through in battle? Besides, even if you can break through, you are still no match for me. You'd better admit defeat. Otherwise, God's destruction technique will kill you. As the words fell, the frequency of fragmentation of the surrounding void suddenly increased. In the center of the fragmented void, the body of the golden ape was even cut into several pieces. Even Wu Yu is now finding it unbearable. He can feel that his life force is constantly passing away in the broken void around him. This life force is lost into the broken void, disappearing in the blink of an eye, and cannot be found at all. The rules of flesh and blood were all over his body, trying his best to prevent his body from being completely destroyed. At the same time, Wu Yu continued to observe the void around him. In the constant fragmentation and disillusionment of the void, he seemed to find a strange balance. This balance is the core of the Tao of the void, the essence of the Tao of the void. As long as you master this balance, you can control the Tao of the void and burst out the power from the void. The shattering of the void gave Wu Yu endless insights, which were more profound and more useful than his previous 4,000 years of solitary practice combined. It even gave him a kind of enlightenment in his soul. The way of the void, condense. On top of the immortal king and immortal god in his body, a ball of void finally slowly condensed, and the power of his eighth heavenly rule was forming. However, Tianyu Longzun had no intention of giving him more time. Lan Kong. Jehua. Two imperial magical powers, even mixed with the god's lost god, floating life, and destruction technique, rushed towards Wu Yu crazily, accompanied by Tianyu dragon lords in different eyes. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1652. The violent attack of Tianyu Longzun made Wu Yu almost unable to hold on. His whole body was surrounded by the broken void, and there was a white fire burning, and the blue sky sphere exploded, constantly destroying the body of his golden ape. The golden scripture of the eternal Vajra immortal realm constantly surrounded Wu Yu, delaying the time for him to be completely killed. At the same time, Wu Yu's eighth heavenly rule power was rapidly forming. In his immortal king immortal god, a void ball was slowly born, containing a rich and manic void heavenly rule power. The realm of the eight heavenly immortal king finally entered in this battle, but the current situation put Wu Yu at an absolute disadvantage. On the side of his golden ape, his void heavenly rule power began to form and burst out, trying to isolate Tianyu Longzun's attack, but the opponent was the eternal Emperor Immortal, and the heaven's loss of God and life destruction technique he cast was the Emperor Immortal divine technique. Even if the power of the void heavenly rule that he had just comprehended was fully released, it could only block less than half of the power of Tianyu Dragon Lord. If he continued like this, he would still have no way out. Wu Yu's breakthrough was like a dazzling new star, which shocked the dragon emperors and dragon lords who were watching the battle. It was not easy for this boy to comprehend and improve his breakthrough in such a desperate situation. He was indeed a first-class genius in the world. However, he could not defeat Tianyu Dragon Lord with this. Wu Jun and Luo Ben were very nervous now. If Wu Yu was not a match for Tianyu Dragon Lord after the breakthrough, then this battle would end in failure. The Dragon Emperors and Dragon Lords were not optimistic about Wu Yu now, because Wu Yu was at a great disadvantage. It could be seen that Wu Yu's golden ape body was very strong, but no matter how strong the body was, it would eventually be annihilated under the bombardment of Tianyu Dragon Lord's Emperor Immortal Divine Art. Wu Yu himself, of course, also felt a sense of powerlessness. Even though he broke through to the eight heavenly immortal king in the battle and narrowed the gap between him and Tianyu Longzun, the power of the void heavenly rule alone was still not enough to defeat Tianyu Longzun. In that case, this is the only way. Wu Yu gritted his teeth and roared in the explosion of countless voids. At the same time, he saw that the explosion speed of the void in the field gradually slowed down. The time speed heavenly rule was used by Wu Yu to construct a time heavenly rule world around his body. In this time heavenly rule world, the surrounding time became slow, and even Tianyu Longzun was a little surprised. Before Tianyu Longzun could react, Wu Yu immediately burst out the power of the void heavenly rule from all over his body and integrated it into the surrounding time heavenly rule world. The power of time and space actually gathered perfectly at this moment. Time and space superposition, explosion. Wu Yu just had a flash of inspiration, but now, he can feel that the time and space world around him, which has been integrated with the power of the void heavenly rules, has become extremely unstable, and he can even feel the manic and unparalleled power in this time and space world. This power of time and space superposition suddenly surged under Wu Yu's control, and even Tianyu Longzun could not react. Immediately afterwards, a thunderous sound came from the field. The void heavenly rules and the time speed heavenly rules merged together. Time and space superposition was a method that Wu Yu suddenly thought of. Time heavenly rules are unpredictable, void heavenly rules are violent and ruthless. The two merged together and actually produced super strong power, even surpassing the power of Wu Yu's golden eye heavenly rules, clone heavenly rules, etc. At this moment, Wu Yu was in the Tianyu Emperor realm of Tianyu Dragon Lord. The void was constantly shattering around him, and the blue sky and the fire of catastrophe were burning. When the time and space rules merged with each other, the terrifying energy burst out instantly, tearing a gap in the Tianyu Emperor realm. When this gap appeared, the offensive from Tianyu Dragon Lord was instantly disintegrated. Not only that, the superposition of the time and space rules even produced a more terrifying force, which hit the unprepared Tianyu Dragon Lord head-on. Tianyu Dragon Lord was originally confident of victory, but he never thought that Wu Yu could suddenly burst out such a terrifying offensive in a short time. He didn't have time to prepare at all, and his Tianyu Emperor realm was torn apart by Wu Yu's time and space superposition of the power of the rules. The whole body of the dragon was in the center of this big explosion, and the terrifying force pulled him into it. In the center of the time and space vortex, even a strong person like Tianyu Dragon Lord couldn't escape for a while. Under the combined destruction of the power of the space-time rule, Tianyu Dragon Lord was injured by countless void explosions in a short period of time. When he struggled to rush out of the center of the space-time vortex, his entire body of the dragon was seriously injured. This Dragon Lord of the Dragon Clan, Tianyu Dragon Lord of the Eternal Emperor Realm, was dying under Wu Yu's final blow. Stop! Several Dragon Emperors reacted quickly and immediately called for a stop when they saw this situation. At the same time, they rushed forward and caught Tianyu Dragon Lord thrown out of the center of the space-time vortex, and immediately used means to heal him. At the same time, several other Dragon Emperors gathered together, discussed quickly, and then stood up and announced, Wu Yu won this battle. This result surprised everyone in the field. Even Wu Yu did not expect that the space-time vortex generated by his fusion of the power of the space-time rule could seriously injure Tianyu Dragon Lord with one blow. He was a little surprised, but now there is no part of his body that is intact. The golden ape's body was basically destroyed tens of thousands of times, and the endless void explosions almost killed him completely. When the Dragon Emperors announced that he had won, Wu Yu knew clearly that he had succeeded. He had done it and defeated Tianyu Dragon Lord, which meant that he could deal with Luo Ben openly and the Shenlong clan would not cause trouble for him. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. And there is a deeper meaning. His ability to defeat Tianyu Longzun can be said to have proved his talent. Now he is only the 8th heavenly immortal king and can defeat the immortal Emperor Immortal. Then when he truly sets foot on the immortal Emperor Immortal, wouldn't he be able to do so? Unbelievable. This is genius. No one in the entire heaven had ever heard that an immortal under the Emperor Immortal could defeat the Emperor Immortal, not to mention that Wu Yu was not the 9 heavens immortal king at the pinnacle of the Emperor Immortal, but only the 8 heavenly immortal king. Imagine that the ordinary 8 heavenly demon kings, such as the Dragon King of Hell, 10,000 Eyes Doughty Na and the like, have the same fighting power as the ordinary 8 heavenly immortal kings. If they were to fight like this with Tianyu Dragon Lord, 100 of them would not be enough to die, and they would probably die in an instant. It will be reduced to ashes. But Wu Yu defeated Tianyu Dragon Lord head-on, and he still did this with absolutely terrifying power. When the final space-time vortex appeared, many Dragon Lords in the Dragon Lord Association secretly admired that the power of this method was no less than that of many immortal Emperor Immortals. Even they may not be able to completely resist it. At this moment, the Dragon Emperor and Dragon Lords of the Shenlong clan only admired Wu Yu. Although Wu Yu has not yet become an Emperor Immortal, with his talent, it seems that it will be a matter of time before he becomes an Emperor Immortal. Even in the future, his possibility will surpass that of ordinary immortal Emperor Immortal, which is exciting. Can look up. Such a talented young man has never appeared in the Shenlong clan. You succeeded. Luo Ben quickly flew up and threw herself into Wu Yu's arms. She felt that Wu Yu was seriously injured and couldn't help but feel a little distressed. Originally, Wu Yu had no need to fight this battle, but in order to be honest with her, Wu Yu fought tooth and nail to win this battle. During this period, she saw how hard he fought, which moved her heart. From the very beginning, she had not misjudged the man. Her man was a man who stood up to heaven and earth and was the unparalleled hero in this world. Wu Yu hugged the beauty into his arms and showed a relaxed smile. This battle was finally over. Not only did he defeat Tianyu Longzun and prove himself, he also reached a higher level of cultivation and reached the realm of the 8 heavenly immortal king. He was only one step away from the peak of Taixu immortal realm. The last step, and then he can think about moving towards the immortal emperor. This child, with the realm of the 8 heavenly immortal king, is able to defeat Tianyu Longzun. His talent is indeed extraordinary. However, Emperor Immortal is a big threshold. If he fails to reach Emperor Immortal in one day, he may naturally die and his lifespan will be exhausted. There was one person. The Dragon Emperor sighed with emotion. Now Wu Yu is just about to step into the Emperor Immortal. Once he becomes the Emperor Immortal, it will be like leaping over the Dragon Gate and reaching the sky in one step. Didn't this kid get the 10th grade Immortal King seal on the Taixu Immortal Road before? Basically, it is 100% sure to become an Immortal King with the 9th grade Immortal King seal and become an Emperor Immortal, not to mention the 10th grade Immortal King seal? And the Dragon Emperor smiled, not worried at all that Wu Yu would not reach the level of Emperor Immortal. How many 10th grade Immortal King seals have appeared in heaven since ancient times? This is a treasure that the Jade Emperor personally refined. How many gods tried to snatch it away, but Wu Yu got it instead. It can be said that Wu Yu was able to defeat Tianyu Dragon Lord at the level of the 8th Heavenly Immortal King, and this 10th level Immortal King seal was indispensable. The Dragon Emperors are now in a relaxed mood. On the premise of not offending the ancient giant spirit god and the others, they do not need to stand on the opposite side of Wu Yu, so they continue to discuss and prepare to turn a blind eye to Wu Yu. Basically, they will no longer prevent Wu Yu from traveling to and from the immortal Dragon Emperor realm. Of course, he can't be too blatant. If the ancient giant spirit god and the others are attracted, it will not be fun, and it will not be of any benefit to the Shenlong clan. However, what they didn't notice was that the Tianxin Dragon Emperor on the side had a gloomy expression while healing the Tianyu Dragon Lord. There seemed to be some sinister color in his eyes. However, no one noticed Tianxin Dragon Emperor's expression at this moment. Wu Yu, Luo Ben, and Wu Jun didn't notice this either. They were immersed in the happiness of being able to meet openly in the future. From now on, I can take you around freely. Wu Yu looked at the beauty in his arms and smiled affectionately. Luo Bai nodded shyly. From now on, wherever you go, I will follow you and never be separated again. The happiness lingered around them, making the two young people reluctant to separate from each other and hugged each other tightly. However, after this battle is over, they still have to leave the Holy Dragon territory first. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1653. Tianyu Dragon Lord was defeated by Wu Yu, which made him feel ashamed. After Tianxin Dragon Emperor healed him, Tianyu Dragon Lord pretended to be unconscious and let Tianxin Dragon Emperor take him away. I will take my brother back to recuperate first. Tianxin Dragon Emperor greeted the other 8 Dragon Emperors and took Tianyu Dragon Lord away first. Before leaving, there was a hint of coldness in his eyes, but he did not look at Wu Yu, but left here directly. After Tianxin Dragon Emperor left, other Dragon Emperors and Dragon Lords, as well as Wu Yu and Luo Bin, also began to leave the Holy Dragon domain. Even after this victory, Wu Yu felt that he could not be too arrogant in the Immortal Dragon Emperor realm. At most, he could only practice with Luo Bin in Kinyan Peak. Otherwise, if he walked around casually, the news of his appearance in the Immortal Dragon Emperor realm would definitely spread quickly, and then the ancient giant spirit god and others might be attracted here. Therefore, Wu Yu took Luo Bin and wanted to go back to tell Bai Qin Dragon King and Bai Yin Dragon King the good news of his victory in this battle. He was seriously injured now, but the Eternal Vajra Immortal Realm allowed him to recover quickly. He only needed to rest for a short period of time to fully recover, and he would definitely recover to his peak state faster than Tianyu Dragon Lord. He and Luo Bin gathered together, and followed other Dragon Emperors and Dragon Lords closely, heading out of the Holy Dragon domain. But when they just left the Holy Dragon domain, the 8 Dragon Emperors, the Dragon Lords of the Dragon Lord Association, and Wu Yu, Luo Bin and others were all stunned, because they actually saw 2 familiar figures. The ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king of the state were actually waiting outside the Holy Dragon domain. When Wu Yu and Luo Bin came out, the 2 powerful eternal emperors of the heavenly court suddenly showed joy on their faces, and then snorted coldly, and each of them was about to take action. Wu Yu, I finally waited for you. I didn't expect you to dare to return to the heavenly palace. You are so bold. This time, you can't escape. When you fall into our hands again, let's see how you can escape. The 2 men said fiercely. It is obvious that they have been waiting outside for a while. Their purpose is naturally to catch Wu Yu. This time they don't intend to give Wu Yu any chance. But just as they were about to take action, Wu Yu reacted faster. He took Luo Bin with him and somersaulted at the fastest speed. In just a blink of an eye, the magical powers of the ancient giant spirit and the king of holding the country had not yet fallen, and Wu Yu and Luo Bin disappeared from everyone's sight. Wu Yu knew very well that although the Dragon Emperors could turn a blind eye to his existence, when the giant spirit and the king of holding the country came to the door, the Dragon Emperors would never dare to protect him forcefully. If he was the blood of the Dragon Clan, it would be fine. The Dragon Clan would definitely protect him to the death, but he was not a dragon. The Dragon Emperor and the Dragon Lords would at most protect Wu Jun, Luo Bin and others, but they would never dare to protect Wu Yu, because Wu Yu's identity was too sensitive, not to mention that he had done so many things that shocked the heavenly court before. Protecting Wu Yu would be equivalent to being an enemy of the entire heavenly court, and they would never do that. So Wu Yu made a prompt decision and took Luo Bin away directly. Now he is at the level of the 8 heavenly immortal king. Even if the other party blocked the void first, Wu Yu wanted to leave, and they couldn't stop him at all. He took Luo Bin and broke out of the encirclement instantly. The next moment, the ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king Chiguo were outside the holy dragon domain, with a look of disbelief and surprise on their faces. They were shocked by Wu Yu's methods. You know, they were outside the Holy Dragon domain and prepared some Taixu immortal formations in advance to block the void in order to prevent Wu Yu from escaping directly. As a result, Wu Yu still slipped away from under their noses. This made them so angry that they almost died. After such a long time, they finally got the news of Wu Yu. They rushed over excitedly to catch Wu Yu, but he ran away again. And this time, it was the Tianxin Dragon Emperor who secretly informed them that they got the opportunity. It would not be so easy to find another opportunity in the future. Why is Wu Yu in the Immortal Dragon Emperor realm? The ancient giant spirit god was angry and asked the Dragon Emperors. The Dragon Emperors were not afraid of them making trouble. Anyway, now that Wu Yu ran away, they had no way to do it, so they explained the previous things to the ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king Chiguo. Of course, they did not say that they deliberately concealed the news of Wu Yu. They only said that Wu Yu wanted to challenge the Emperor Xian, and they agreed. Hearing that Wu Yu had just defeated Tianyu Dragon Lord in the Holy Dragon domain, the heavenly king Chiguo and the ancient giant spirit god were shocked. This kid has made rapid progress recently, and they have seen it. Just by looking at Wu Yu, they knew that this kid has already reached the 8th heavenly immortal king, much stronger than before, and even had the ability to escape from them. However, they never expected that Wu Yu could reach the level of defeating the Emperor Immortal. Below the Emperor Immortal, everyone is an ant. This sentence is not said in vain. Even the ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king of the country, they have never heard of anyone who can defeat an immortal Emperor Immortal at the Immortal King level. According to common sense, even an Emperor Immortal in a seriously injured state cannot lose to an Immortal King, even an Immortal King at the peak level. However, the Emperor Immortal of the Shenlong clan must still have strength. Even if it is only the first level of the Immortal Emperor Immortal, Wu Yu can defeat him, which has already shown his extraordinariness. It seems that we still have to ask the Erlang god to take action. Yes, once this kid slips away, I don't know where to hide, it's too difficult to find him. Only Erlang Zhenshen can find his location, and then this kid can't fly away. The ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king Chiguo discussed and came up with this idea. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. They tried to ask Erlang Zhenshen to take action before, but in the eyes of Erlang Zhenshen, what can a mere Wu Yu count as? He is not qualified to take action at all. But now, Wu Yu actually defeated the immortal emperor of the Dragon Clan with the realm of the immortal king. If this news spreads, Erlang Zhenshen will definitely not underestimate Wu Yu. Of course, Erlang Zhenshen is the supreme powerhouse of the heavenly court. He will not pay too much attention to a young boy, but he should still want to catch Wu Yu and study him. Wu Yu certainly doesn't know about the situation here. He took Luobin and quickly left the immortal dragon realm. Since the heavenly king Chiguo and the ancient giant spirit god appeared here, this place was not a safe place. We must leave first. Wu Yu took Luobin with him this time, and the other dragon emperors did not react at all. Otherwise, the dragon emperors would definitely stop Wu Yu from taking Luobin away. Unfortunately, the ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king Chiguo came too suddenly this time, and even the dragon emperors did not react. The other 8 dragon emperors did not seem to know that the ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king Chiguo were outside, otherwise they would definitely find a way to keep you temporarily in the holy dragon realm, Wu Yu said to Luobin with a gloomy face. Yes, it seems that the dragon emperor Tianxin secretly leaked the secret. He was the only one who was not present at the time, and he leaked the secret secretly, and he did not dare to tell the other dragon emperors. Luobin was a little angry. She didn't know why the dragon emperor Tianxin was so against herself and Wu Yu. Of course, she knew something. Wu Yu had killed the descendants of Tianxin Dragon Emperor before, which made Tianxin Dragon Emperor lose face, which might have made this guy very unhappy. It's meaningless to say these things now. We have to find a place to practice quietly for a while. It's a pity that I can't say goodbye to my uncle and aunt, Wu Yu said, shaking his head. Now Bai Yin Dragon King and Bai Qin Dragon King should still be waiting for the result of his battle with Tianyu Dragon Lord at Qin Yin Peak. Fortunately, Wu Jun should tell them in detail about this matter, so that they will not be kept in the dark. Ye Luobin must listen to Wu Yu now, but thinking of Bai Qin Dragon King and Bai Yin Dragon King, she didn't know when they could meet again. In a short time, they must not return to the immortal Dragon Emperor realm, otherwise they might be caught by the ancient giant spirit god and the country king. Let's find a place first and practice for a while. After Wu Yu finished speaking, he took Luobin away from the immortal Dragon Emperor realm. This time, the people of the four major inheritances finally gathered together, but unfortunately they could not show up in the heavenly palace, so they could only hide and practice in secret. In the 8,000 heavenly palace, Wu Yu came to the 6,210th heaven and found a hidden place to start retreat, mainly with Luobin. As for Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi, now they have returned to the heavenly palace, they have become more active. They did not want to disturb the world of Wu Yu and Luobin, so they left separately and went to other places in the heavenly palace to practice. The realm of the two of them is not low now, not to mention that there are various magical powers to save their lives. Nanshan Wanjiao's heavenly domain traceless is displayed, and it is impossible for anyone below the Eternal Emperor to find his trace. This time, Nanshan Wanjiao left Wu Yu and went out to practice alone, and he also wanted to take his heavenly domain traceless magical power to a higher level. If even the Eternal Emperor could not find his trace, he could do whatever he wanted in the heavenly palace. As for Yezixi, her magical power of transforming into black sand has also made some breakthroughs recently. It is silent and like a gust of wind. It is absolutely safe in the absence of the immortal emperor. Of course, it is not so easy to meet the immortal emperor in the lower heavenly palace. Once there is any problem, they can contact Wu Yu with the communication fairy talisman. I will continue to pass on the inheritance to you, Wu Yu said to Luobin. Due to time constraints, he was unable to pass on all the insights from the emperor demon that he had swallowed to her. Now he can continue. By then, Luobin's cultivation will surely rise, and she will be able to reach the level of Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi in a short time. They are hiding in this more than 6,000-story heavenly palace. It is not so easy for the ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king of the state to find them. Moreover, even if they find them, they may not be able to do anything to Wu Yu now, so Wu Yu is more assured to start practicing and pass things on to Luobin. Besides inheriting and understanding, the two of them usually spend a lot of time together, being affectionate and loving. It can be said that they are in the happiest world of two people. However, they occasionally think of Bai Qin Dragon King and Bai Yin Dragon King and miss them. They practiced like this, and 10,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1654. Chapter 1649 Inheritance Guidance. 10,000 years have passed. In the 6,210th heavenly palace, Wu Yu and Luobin hid in a beautiful forest, practicing and having fun, enjoying the joy of immortals. During this period of time, Wu Yu passed on all the insights of the emperor demon that he had obtained before to Luobin, allowing her to make extremely great progress in these 10,000 years. Almost every day and every moment, she is making rapid progress. To this day, she has reached the realm of the four heavenly immortal king, keeping up with Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi. When Wu Yu first met her, she had not even entered the Taigzu fairyland. The 9th grade immortal king seal that Wu Yu gave her before, although not as good as Wu Yu's own 10th grade immortal king seal, is also the world's top immortal king seal, allowing her to make rapid progress after entering the Taigzu fairyland. At this point, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow diamond suit. Not only that, those who can step into the Taigzu fairyland with the 9th rank Immortal King seal will basically be able to break through to the Eternal Emperor Immortal in the future. As long as there are no accidents, the Emperor Immortal realm is the most basic. After all, the 9th rank Immortal King seal is considered a very precious thing in the entire heavenly court. Even the children of the ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king of holding the country pursue the 9th rank Immortal King seal, not to mention others. This is a top-level Immortal King seal that even the Emperor Immortals of the level of the ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king of holding the country cannot refine. With the 9th rank Immortal King seal, it is mainly the inheritance that Wu Yu gave to Luo Bin, which allowed Luo Bin to gain a huge improvement in the past 10,000 years. If she was still in the Immortal Dragon Emperor realm, it would be impossible for her to have such a significant improvement. Luo Bin's inheritance is the inheritance of the 8 heavenly dragons. These 8 heavenly dragons have some relationship with the great sage equal to heaven, the general of the curtain, and the marshal of the heavenly pen, but Wu Yu is not clear about the specific relationship. Until now, except for the time when the great sage equal to heaven appeared when he faced the ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king of the state in the Immortal Dragon Emperor realm, Wu Yu has been able to get too little information about these 4 gods. In these 10,000 years, Wu Yu has not given up solving the mystery of the destruction of the demon god realm. Sometimes he would take Luo Bin out to play in his spare time during cultivation, and ask for some information by the way, but he got nothing. Regarding the destruction of the demon god realm, no gods in the entire heavenly court talked about it, and no gods even knew about it. Or just like the great sage equal to heaven said, they forgot about it. But how could such a thing be forgotten? Especially for an existence at the level of the Jade Emperor, is there any more hidden secret behind it? Wu Yu dared not imagine, nor could he imagine. Tiangong Immortal Realm, Tianfo Immortal Realm, Wu Yu now knew that these 2 immortal realms existed, but he had basically no understanding of Tianfo Immortal Realm. If it really existed, even the entire Tiangong Immortal Realm, including the Jade Emperor and other emperors, had all their memories erased, how terrifying would that be? He also often entered the Fusion Tower during this period to play with the grey little macaque in the Fusion Tower. Wu Yu had no way to break the seal in the little macaque's body, so this grey little macaque basically had no memory. What exactly was mysterious about it was also something Wu Yu could not guess at all because of the tyrannical seal in its body. Luo Bin's realm improvement made her strength improve a lot, and all the various magical powers and body refining methods she had practiced before had made considerable progress. For example, the body refining magical power of the 8 heavenly dragon body, she practiced it to a higher level, making her body even more powerful. Even if it was not as good as Wu Yu's current level of Vajra indestructible body, it was almost the same. There is also the Tai Gu Xuanhuan Long De Zhenjing, which is the method she practices. This method makes the immortal king and immortal god in her body grow stronger and stronger, and makes the power of the heavenly rules she condenses become more powerful. It is also the best method in the world. Her 4 great magical powers have also become more powerful. The first magical power is Wanhe Tianhuo, which is a pure attacking magical power. If it is cultivated to the peak, there are hundreds of millions of heavenly palace fires condensed, gathered, mixed, and exploded, with the most powerful direct destructive power, which is even more powerful than the power of the heavenly rules she condensed. The more flames she cultivates, the stronger the power of Wanhe Tianhuo will be. After 10,000 years of cultivation, the types of flames she has mastered and condensed have more than doubled compared to 10,000 years ago, and the power has increased by at least 10 times. It can be imagined that when this magical power continues to be cultivated and reaches the peak, how terrible the destructive power will be. The second magical power, the Dragon Heaven combination, is a magical power that allows Luo Bin to merge with Wu Yu, allowing Wu Yu to use the power of both of them. As Luo Bin's strength increases, her comprehension of this magical power has also reached a deeper level. If she uses the Dragon Heaven combination again now, it will be enough to make Wu Yu surpass his current level of strength, and even make it easier for him to defeat the Eternal Emperor Immortal. If Luo Bin had not reached the realm of the Immortal King, even if she merged with Wu Yu, who is now at the realm of the 8 Heavenly Immortal King, she would not be able to strengthen Wu Yu too much. But now, if she, who is at the 4 Heavenly Immortal King, merges with Wu Yu, it will be enough to greatly increase Wu Yu's strength. This is also a terrible method, especially as Luo Bin and Wu Yu become stronger in the future. This Dragon Heaven combination will make their combined strength exceed their own limits. Originally, the opponent who was unable to defeat will become able to fight and even defeat him. The third magical power is the 8-part Buddha, which is a purely offensive magical power like the 10,000 combinations of heavenly fire. Like the 10,000 combinations of heavenly fire, the power of the 8-part Buddha magical power has increased by at least 10 times during Luo Bin's 10,000 years of cultivation. And with the improvement of Luo Bin's realm, she has reached the realm of the 4 Heavenly Immortal King. When the 8-part Buddha is launched, even the gods of the 6 Heavenly Immortal King cannot resist its power. If the 6 Heavenly Immortal King comes to resist the 8-part Buddha tower, he will definitely die. The last magical power is the Dragon's Reverse Scale, which is similar to Wu Yu's Burning. It is not difficult to practice, but after using it, at the cost of damaging oneself, it can greatly enhance the current combat effectiveness. If you want to fight to the death, this magical power is quite terrifying. Of course, compared with Wu Yu's Burning, this still has certain limitations. After all, after Wu Yu burned, as long as there was a strong enough force for him to devour, he could quickly recover to his original state, or even become stronger and break through the shackles. But if Luo Bin used the Heavenly Dragon Reverse Scale, there was no means of devouring to allow her to recover, so Wu Yu told her not to use this trick to hurt herself unless it was absolutely necessary. As long as Wu Yu was there, he would never allow Luo Bin to use this magical power to hurt herself. At this moment, Wu Yu was determined to stay with Luo Bin all the time, go all the way with her, and never separate again. The 4 magical powers brought by the 8 Heavenly Dragon inheritances have all been improved, especially the Heavenly Dragon integration, which can now be used at will, quickly merged with Wu Yu, and enhanced his strength. In addition, Wu Yu has been constantly practicing and comprehending the last heavenly rule power in the past 10,000 years. Although there has been no results, it has also improved his own realm. The last heavenly rule power, what Wu Yu wants to condense, is the devouring heavenly rule power. This is the ultimate heavenly rule power he wants to master. Once he succeeds, he will be able to step into the peak of Taixu Fairyland, the realm of 9 heavenly immortal kings. Ordinary first-level Eternal Emperor Immortals will not be his opponents at all. When he fights Tianyu Longzun again, he doesn't need to get into such a difficult battle. Of course, if we talk about the progress, Wu Yu's 9th devouring heavenly rule has only been comprehended less than 1/10 now, and it is still far from complete success. If there is no opportunity, it will not be successful for tens of thousands of years. Unless Wu Yu can devour more Emperor Immortals or Emperor Demon corpses, there are enough Emperor Demon corpses in the Eternal Emperor Burial. If Wu Yu devours, he can become extremely powerful in a short time. But now he still hasn't figured out the truth about the destruction of the Demon God realm, and he won't act rashly for the time being, which is disrespectful to the thousands of Emperor Demon predecessors in the Demon God realm. 10,000 years, remarkable progress. Wu Yu and Luo Bin have both improved to a certain extent. During these 10,000 years, Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi would occasionally send messages through the fairy talisman to tell them about their current situation. Basically, they did not encounter any major problems. Especially Nanshan Wanjiao, he even had time to flirt with many fairies in the heaven, which made Wu Yu admire him very much. This guy's transformation and psychedelic technique is really powerful. He can almost walk sideways in the heaven. There were a few times when Nanshan Wanjiao offended some old fairies, such as the grandfather of the fairy he flirted with. If he couldn't beat him, he would directly use the heaven realm no trace, hide his body and leave. The other party couldn't find his trace at all. It can be said that Nanshan Wanjiao lived a carefree and happy life in these 10,000 years. However, on this day, Wu Yu suddenly felt a throbbing in his heart. This was a feeling he had never had before. The Ruyi Jinggu Bang, which had been silent all the time, seemed to vibrate him. This information was like a call, guiding him on what he should do next. Ruyi Jinggu Bang, is there a response? Wu Yu was delighted. At this time, Luo Bin also came to him and told him that just now, Luo Bin also received a message, which seemed to be the message passed down to her by the ancient 8 dragons, and was also guiding her to do what she should do next. Are you going to the higher level of the heavenly palace? Wu Yu confirmed with her, and Luo Bin nodded. Obviously, the message they received this time was basically the same, asking them to go to the higher level of the heavenly palace. I wonder how Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi are doing. As Wu Yu was thinking this, the communication talismans of the two of them came over, indicating that they had received a message asking them to go to a higher level of the heavenly palace. This means that we will act together next. Let's find a place to meet first. Wu Yu reacted immediately, and at the same time he was a little excited. After so long, the Ruyi Jinggu Bang and other inherited treasures finally responded. This time, he should be able to learn some secrets about these inheritances, right? Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1655. After receiving the summons, Wu Yu quickly met up with Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi. Of course, Luo Bin was always with him. The four of them came together, and everyone was very excited, especially Nanshan Wanjiao. He came to the place where Wu Yu and Luo Bin lived in seclusion, and laughed loudly and said, "Finally we can know how handsome and powerful Marshal Peng is that day. I don't know if I'm more handsome compared to him." Yezixi stood aside with a look of disdain, narcissist. I'm not saying that Marshal Tianpeng chose me as the successor. Part of the reason must be that I am too handsome. Nanshan Wanjiao said this, but Yezixi and Luo Bin both despised him. How could this be the reason for choosing inheritance? In any case, the four of them are relatively excited now. They finally got something related to their inheritance, and it's time to find the truth. In particular, their inheritance should be related to the destruction of the demon god realm. This time the Ruyi golden cudgel and other inherited objects summoned them, which may allow them to learn some news and clues about the destruction of the demon god realm. With their current strength, they can go to the higher level heavenly palace. Through the well of eternal life, they quietly follow the treasure's call upwards. Not long after, the four of them had arrived at the 7,500th heaven, Holy Kishan. When they just stepped out of the well of eternal life from Sheng Kishan, a desolate and ancient atmosphere hit their faces. It seemed that no one had been to this place for a long time, and there was even a presence at the entrance of Sheng Kishan, with some worn seals. This dilapidated seal makes this place isolated from the world. As soon as Wu Yu arrived here, he felt a slight reaction from the Ruyi golden cudgel, which actually allowed them to pass through this dilapidated seal and step into the space that seemed to have been isolated for millions of years. This is actually a broken void. When Wu Yu and the four of them actually passed through the worn-out seal and stepped into the Holy Kishan, their eyes widened and they couldn't believe the scene in front of them. What appeared in front of them turned out to be a completely shattered space just like the demon god realm. The entire Saint Kishan seemed to have been destroyed in a terrifying battle just like the demon god realm. Not only that, Wu Yu also discovered that the Saint Kishan had no trace of his existence in the memories of everyone he devoured. In other words, no matter whether it is the gods in heaven, the ghosts in hell, or the demon gods in the world of demons and gods, all the beings that Wu Yu has devoured have no memory of the Saint Kishan. Looking back at the beginning, the Monkey King seemed to have said something, and all the gods in heaven have forgotten those things at the beginning. forgetfulness seems to have extended to the entire heaven and hell. The current gods and hell ghosts no longer remember the destruction of the demon and god world by them. So the current situation of Saint Kishan may be similar. Shenkishan, this name, could it be related to the great sage Kishan? Luo Ben suddenly thought, this Saint Kishan is located in the 7,500 heavenly palace. Obviously, the senior Saint Kishan has a very high status in the heaven, but I don't know why he disappeared after leaving his inheritance, and this sage Kishan, the sky is also broken into this shape. Now none of them can answer that question. In this broken world, except for the void, nothing seems to exist anymore, and Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi's treasure summons do not come from here, but from the higher heavenly palace. Wu Yu discussed it with them. He couldn't find any news in Shenkishan for the time being, so he might as well go up and take a look first. Under the 7,500 heavenly palace, the Holy Chi Tian, is the next heavenly palace, the Yuan Peng Tian, and the next level is the Rolling Curtain Heaven. These two heavenly palaces respectively correspond to the inheritance of Nanshan Wanjiao. The immortal Tianpeng Marshal, and Yezixi's inherited immortal Rolling Curtain General. However, after going up, Wu Yu and the others discovered that the Yuan Pengtian and Rolling Curtain Sky were completely broken like Saint Kishan. This third-level heavenly palace seemed to be incompatible with the other heavenly palaces. It was completely destroyed, and even the void was shattered into pieces. It can be seen that the battle that took place here was more devastating than the one in the demon god world. It was a kind of complete destruction. Under such a battle, everything would cease to exist, even the void. Wu Yu and the others kept wandering around and searching in this third-level heavenly palace with shock and confusion. There were broken voids and traces of destruction everywhere. They couldn't help but sigh. Who started such a war on this palace in the first place and caused it to be destroyed? Wu Yu had never discovered this third-level palace in his devoured memories. I don't know if all the gods have forgotten this third-level heavenly palace, or if there are top gods who are deliberately blocking the news about this place. If Wu Yu and the others had not had the inheritance left by the Monkey King and their predecessors, they would not have been able to find this third heaven. This is a third heaven that is isolated from the world, and a completely broken third heaven. It seems to be just a relic of history. There is no longer any meaning of existence. It can be seen that in addition to the broken void, there are some palaces that should be magnificent in this three-level palace, but now only some ruins are left. The magnificent palaces no longer exist, only the ashes of destruction remain. For some reason, the three heavens disappeared from the heavenly palace. No one has any memory of the three heavens, and no one has ever mentioned the three heavens. Wu Yu frowned and thought. They kept searching in the dilapidated ruins of the three heavens, looking for the slightest clue. After coming here, the guidance of the four people's inheritance became a little weaker. It was obvious that they had arrived at the destination, but it was still unknown what the inheritance asked them to do here. For the next few years, they were in the three heavens that disappeared in the heavenly palace, constantly searching and searching. Even in the depths of some broken voids, they went into search, risking being swallowed by the void, and searched most of the space of the three heavens. They didn't find anything until 10 years later, when Wu Yu returned to Saint Kishan. When searching in the heavenly palace that might have originally belonged to the great sage Kishan, the Ruyi Jingbang seemed to have changed again, guiding him in a certain direction. In order to prevent accidents, the four of them have always acted together over the years. When the Ruyi Jingbang gave instructions, Wu Yu and his team quickly moved in the direction indicated. Soon, a huge stone tablet in a broken wilderness appeared in front of them. There was a huge wilderness nearby, with ruins stretching for countless miles. The sky and the ground were full of broken space, a desolate and decadent scene. The huge stone tablet in front looked ordinary, as if it had been standing here for an eternity, and had seen all the vicissitudes of life. It was thousands of feet high, standing tall, and was the only thing that was still intact in this broken wilderness. Wu Yu and his team were attracted by the huge stone tablet at first sight, and then stared at it and moved forward. When the four of them approached, the stone tablet suddenly shook, and then some pictures began to appear on one side of the stone tablet. Look, there seems to be a picture on the stone tablet. Is it trying to tell us something? Yazixi was the first to discover it. She raised her slender hand and pointed to the highest point of the stone tablet. The four people then saw that the stone tablet began to gradually emerge from the highest point, and some gradually clear pictures emerged, like a long historical scroll, unfolding from top to bottom. At first, they stared intently and saw only four blurry figures. These four blurry figures could display terrifying magical powers and immortal arts with every move they made. They were definitely the top emperor-level existences under the heaven and earth. However, at this moment, the four blurry figures were being besieged and hunted by many other figures, constantly dodging and fleeing in the void of heaven and earth. In Wu Yu's eyes, he saw the four blurry figures, each of whom had the most peak combat power. The void was shattered under their feet, and the magnificent palaces along the way were all turned into pieces of ruins that were difficult to restore in the shattering of the void. It can be felt that if Wu Yu was in front of those four blurry figures, he would definitely be solved by them in one move. But now, there are countless figures between heaven and earth, chasing them, and even forcing them to have no way to escape. In the end, near a continuous shattered void, the four blurry figures were completely surrounded. On the stone tablet in front of Wu Yu and the others, the picture gradually became clearer, and the first thing that attracted their attention was the four blurry figures standing tall. It's actually them. The picture was clear and appeared in front of them, making Wu Yu and the other four stunned. They were all quite familiar with the figure that appeared in front of them. It was the figure that appeared in their minds when they were given the inheritance. Wu Yu's eyes were completely occupied by a golden fairy ape. The golden fairy ape, with a pair of eyes looking down on the world, was domineering and had a golden stick in his hand. With a casual move, he could smash the void, as if he could penetrate time, repel some of the figures that attacked him, and even kill them on the spot. This is a peerless fairy ape, wearing golden armor, with a cloud of auspicious clouds whistling under his feet, carrying him through the void. Sometimes, his eyes focus, and a beam of terrifying golden light bursts out, which can repel the surrounding enemies and even melt them into pieces. Wu Yu recognized the golden fairy ape at a glance. That, surprisingly, is the one who gave him the inheritance, Qi Tianda Sheng. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1656. Finally, he met the Monkey King who passed on his legacy to him, the Fighting Buddha. However, although the Monkey King was now brave and unparalleled, constantly resisting the attacks from the surrounding figures, it was obvious that he was gradually losing ground in this surrounded group battle. After all, there were too many figures on the other side, and there were at least hundreds of them fighting him. There were also three other originally blurred figures, which gradually became clearer, and each of them was facing hundreds of opponents. Even if they were all powerful, they had no way to deal with this level of siege. Among the other three figures, one was a huge wild boar demon, exuding an extremely terrifying aura all over his body, holding a nine-toothed rake, which was the inheritance obtained by Nanshan Wanjiao, the Shangbao Kanjin Palladium. Although the wild boar demon didn't have the dazzling golden light of the Monkey King, he was no worse than the Monkey King in killing, and even better. He casually used the precious gold palladium in his hand, which caused a space to break, and pulled the opponent into the countless void vortexes. Screams came, indicating that the opponents who were pulled into the void vortex would definitely not survive, and even their bodies could not be found. Marshal Tianpeng. Nanshan Wanjiao stared at the wild boar demon on the stone tablet in a daze, and a touch of eagerness gradually emerged in his eyes. His previous words about competing to see who was more handsome were obviously just a joke. Now that he really met his successor, Nanshan Wanjiao was completely shocked by his bravery in fighting. The wild boar demon was of the same bloodline as him, but now he had become the top-level Emperor Immortal. He waved his hand to break the void, roared to dispel all the glitz, and commanded the heaven and earth. He held the precious gold palladium and wandered in the endless void, with a bloodthirsty desire in his eyes. Also, General Wanlian. Yezixi's eyes were now shining with little stars. In her eyes, there was a shadow of another figure. That was a demon god who stood tall and upright, with black mist all over his body. The whole world was filled with the demon god's breath. Under the black mist, his huge body in the fierce battle kept shaking the void. In that black mist body, two demon god eyes overlooked the common people, and black beams of light kept shining out. They shot through the opponents with their hands and feet, and smashed the figures that were besieging them one after another. In his hand, he held the crescent shovel obtained by Yezixi, the demon-subduing treasure staff. As he waved it, endless black sand surged in the void, gradually forming a wide and turbulent black sand river, which continued to flow rapidly around the area where he was, dragging one enemy after another into the black sand river and completely annihilating them. In addition to the three of them, there was another huge figure, a snow-white dragon. The snow-white dragon looked a bit like Luo Bin. The dragon wandered above the sky, disappeared in the void in a blink of an eye, and then appeared from the void again, accompanied by the terrifying magical powers of the 8-part pagoda. The 8-part pagoda towers surrounded the snow-white dragon, rolling towards the surrounding figures that were chasing and blocking them, violently shattering them one after another. The snow-white dragon looked the most elegant, but its lethality was not weak at all. The power of the Emperor Immortal Dragon continued to burst out from its body. The dragon's eyes were also full of anger and murderous intent, and it seemed to be very angry at the people who surrounded and blocked it. What's going on? Luo Bin's eyes stayed on the snow-white dragon for a long time. When she finally came to her senses, the four huge figures on the stone tablet were actually at a disadvantage in the battle. Each of the four figures had the power to devour the sky and was the strongest existence between heaven and earth. Even so, they still gradually fell into a disadvantage in this battle. They were trapped in this void and could not escape. More and more figures surrounded them and launched a swift and deadly attack on them. Each of these figures was at least at the level of the Emperor Immortal. In the battle, every move of each figure could kill Wu Yu and his men hundreds of times. Although such existence was nothing to the four figures, there were too many figures chasing them helplessly. As they gradually fell into exhaustion, the scene on the stone tablet became clearer and clearer. Originally, those who surrounded and killed them were just some blurry figures, but soon, these blurry figures appeared. When he saw the true faces of these figures, Wu Yu was stunned on the spot. It was them. In the field, thousands of heavenly gods and countless hellish ghosts were besieging the four figures together. Once in the Eternal Emperor's burial, he saw the scene of heaven and hell joining forces to destroy the entire demon god world together. Wu Yu didn't expect to see the same group of people here again. They were actually targeting the four people of the Monkey King. There is no doubt that the Monkey King was too strong. The four huge figures standing tall seemed to be the most terrifying existence under the sky, so that the heaven and hell had to join hands to fight. You know, this is the lineup that destroyed the entire demon god world, and now it is besieging the four people of the Monkey King. It is conceivable that they are facing a huge pressure. The Jade Emperor, the 10 kings of hell, these beings that Wu Yu had seen before, now gathered together to deal with the Monkey King who had inherited his legacy to him, as well as Nanshan Wanjiao and the other four predecessors. When he was in the Eternal Emperor's burial, Wu Yu could not recognize many of the figures, but Wu Jun explained and introduced them to him at that time. Now that Wu Yu saw them again, he could recognize them. Yuanqi Tianzun, Lingbao Tianzun, Tais Hang Daijun. The three vast figures, the pillars of the heavenly court, were besieging the golden ape in golden armor. Even though the Monkey King was known as the Fighting Buddha, he was unable to resist at this moment, mainly because the number of the other party was too large. In addition to these three Taoist masters, there were also the northern North Pole Zhongtianzaiwei Emperor and the southern Pole Changsheng Emperor, who were also besieging the Monkey King, making him exhausted. Even the most valiant god of war in the world could not cope with the siege of all the gods and ghosts in the entire heavenly court and hell. You have committed a heinous crime, but you do not repent. You should be killed. From the stone tablet, a voice from ancient times, with unimaginable majesty, entered the minds of Wu Yu and the other four. This is the voice of the Jade Emperor. Wu Yu and the others did not know how the stone tablet preserved the voice when preserving the battle scene at that time, but it must be said that when the four of them heard the majestic voice of the Jade Emperor, they could not help but want to surrender and worship. What a powerful power is this! Even if it could not make Wu Yu and the others surrender, just this sentence made Wu Yu and the others want to surrender. It can be imagined how great the existence of the Jade Emperor is. Wu Yu has not really seen the Jade Emperor yet. The last time he saw him was in the picture of the Eternal Emperor's burial. Now he saw him in the stone tablet in front of him. They were just preserved pictures. Even if they were shocked, they were not so real because of the long time and the vicissitudes of the picture. But the majestic voice just now made Wu Yu and the others feel as if they had seen the real Jade Emperor. The four of them were greatly shocked by the words of the Jade Emperor. Not to mention mortals, even other gods who have not reached the realm of the immortal king of Taixu Fairyland would probably kneel down and worship on the spot under such a voice. This is the power of the Jade Emperor. At the same time, the 10 kings of hell from hell, with their endless murderous intentions, were constantly shuttling around in the field like the wind, dealing with the General of the Curtain. The General of the Curtain was a ghost, and now he was confronting the 10 kings of hell head-on, and for a while he was not at a disadvantage. It was only with the arrival of the god of Menpo, black and white impermanence, etc. from other directions, that the General of the Curtain became a little exhausted. It turns out that the predecessor who passed on the teachings to me is so powerful. Yazixi looked at the 10 kings of hell, who actually fought against the 10 kings of hell from hell, and even the top ghosts and gods such as Black and White Impermanence and Mengpo, and couldn't help but be fascinated. It's really too strong. Yazixi and Wu Yu had seen the slaughter of many demon gods in the demon god realm by the gods and ghosts of the heaven and hell at the Eternal Emperor burial. At that time, even the top Eternal Emperor demons in the demon god realm could not resist the 10 kings of hell, and even the subordinates of the 10 kings of hell could easily kill a large number of emperor demons. But now, if it is a one-on-one fight, Yazixi can be sure that no one in the entire hell will be the opponent of the Curtain General. This made her full of expectations for her inheritance, but the scene on the stone tablet soon came to an end, which made her and Wu Yu and others all shocked. Under the siege of thousands of gods and ghosts in heaven and hell, the great sage equaling heaven, Marshal Tianpeng, General Wanlian, and the 8 heavenly dragons finally couldn't hold on, and could only barely send the seriously injured Snow White dragon out of the encirclement. The other 3 were eventually reduced to ashes, and like many emperors and demons in the demon world, they were annihilated under the joint attack of heaven and hell. This battle was simply shocking and heart-wrenching. It should be this battle on this stone tablet that caused the complete collapse of the current Saint Kishan, Yuan Pengtian and Xuanhuan nation. However, such a big battle, why have all the emperors and immortals now forgotten it? They can't remember, or even know who the great sage equaling heaven is. The ancient giant spirit god, the heavenly king of the state, etc. are obviously very familiar to the great sage equaling heaven, but when they were in the immortal dragon emperor realm, they didn't know the identity of the great sage equaling heaven at all. Even if he lost his memory, it is impossible for the entire heaven to lose his memory together, right? Suppressing this question, the 4 of them looked at the stone tablet and saw a line of blood-red characters appearing on the stone tablet at the end: "We will avenge the destruction." These four characters shocked the heavens and the earth, and condensed the endless resentment from ancient times. At the same time, Wu Yu felt that the Ruyi Jinggu bang in his body seemed to have a reaction again, which was a resonance with his emotions, a resonance with the blood feud. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1657. On the stone tablet, the words in blood were magnificent and powerful. Wu Yu and the four of them watched with excitement, and at the same time countless questions emerged in their hearts. The seeds of these questions had been planted since Wu Yu saw heaven and hell joining forces to destroy the demon god realm in the Eternal Emperor's burial. What is the identity of the gods passed down to us? Why do so many gods and ghosts join forces to kill them? Nanshan Wanjiao's face was full of doubts. He had just admired the huge black wild boar demon. Its heroic and fearless methods could destroy the world. But now, seeing the 8 bloody words appearing on the stone tablet, he couldn't help but feel doubts in his heart. Could it be that the great sage Qishan, Marshal Tianpeng, General Rolling Curtain, and the 8 heavenly dragons all violated the rules of heaven and were therefore besieged and killed by the gods in heaven? However, even so, it will not attract the ghosts and gods from hell. Furthermore, General Roller Blind is obviously a ghost. Why does he have a place in heaven? Yezixi also raised his own doubts. Fortunately for Marshal Tianpeng and the 8 heavenly dragons, the Shenlong clan is originally a force belonging to heaven. Marshal Tianpeng, as a pig demon, can be explained a little in heaven, but General Rolling Curtain, as a ghost and god, is actually in heaven. It's a bit unbelievable to have your own territory, rolling shutter sky. Anyway, they have never seen any ghosts and gods set foot in the current heaven. Once a ghost or god comes here, they will definitely be resisted by other gods. I feel that it's not because they made a mistake. I'm afraid something big happened. Otherwise, why would they be the same people who destroyed the demon god realm? Luo Bin said thoughtfully. The main reason is that the gods in heaven no longer seem to know the Monkey King and the others. The ancient giant spirit god and the king of the country do not know the identity of the Monkey King at all. Wu Yu also stared at the 8 blood characters on the stone tablet and said in a deep voice, however, whether it was the battlefield in the demon god realm or the group of immortals who besieged the Monkey King on the stone tablet just now, I saw the characters of these people. Figure. In other words, the ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king Shizhou all participated in the encirclement and suppression of the great sage Qishan. But before, they seemed to have no impression of the great sage Qishan at all. It's not just them, it seems that the current Emperor Immortals can't remember any of them, including the Holy Emperor Dongfang Chang'an and the others. Nanshan Wanjiao said carefully. At this moment, the huge stone tablet in front of them shattered into pieces. In the desolate ruins, it exploded into sand and stone fragments that filled the sky. They were then swallowed up by the surrounding void vortex and disappeared from the scene. The shattered stone tablet looked as if it had never existed. But the 8 bloody words on the stone tablet just now seemed to be engraved, deeply staying in the minds of the 4 of them. At this moment, they were all confused. It was obvious that there was something very strange about this matter, but at this stage, they had nowhere to go to ask. Even if you meet other Emperor Immortals, so what? It seems that the entire heaven has forgotten this matter. Where else can we learn the truth of the matter? Maybe the Immortal Emperor's burial is our last chance. Wu Yu thought that for him, there should be some specific details about this matter buried in the Yongsheng Emperor's burial, but he had not discovered it before. If there is no burial for the Immortal Emperor, unless he can reach the top of the heavenly court and reach the top of the Emperor Immortal, at least reaching the level of the Jade Emperor, then he may be qualified to talk to the top immortals in the heavenly court. But how long will it take? It is true that Wu Yu has the powerful magical power of devouring, but even so, the gap between him and top gods like the Jade Emperor is really immeasurable. Wu Yu was certain that even if he swallowed all the demon corpses in the Eternal Emperor's burial, he would not be able to reach the level of the Jade Emperor. After all, swallowing did not mean a direct increase, and he still needed to understand and comprehend it himself. What's more, even if it is swallowed, it will take a long time for Wu Yu to completely digest it. His devouring speed is much faster than others, but it cannot be completed in a short time. The four of them stayed where they were, speechless for a long time. Looking at the stone tablet exploding into the void, they didn't know what to do next. It seemed that they had received the inheritance, but it was too heavy on their shoulders. In a short period of time, they could not find any clues and had no clue about what was going to happen next. At this moment, a suppressed aura suddenly hit from the sky. This depressing momentum instantly attracted the attention of Wu Yu and the four of them, causing them to raise their heads and look towards the sky. This sight made them break out in cold sweat. But they saw a huge golden eye, bigger than the sun in the broken heavenly palace, suddenly split open in the void and appeared in the sky above them. As soon as the eyes appeared, there was a burst of bright golden light, covering Wu Yu and the four of them. With a burst of terrifying oppression, the void around them was suppressed. At this moment, the four of them could not even see the slightest trace of it. Unable to move. Those golden eyes were devoid of any emotion and were full of pure indifference, giving people a terrifying feeling. When they tore the sky apart, even the void was shaken away by it. It seemed like this was the only thing left in the entire sky. A golden eye. In the depths of these golden eyes, what emerges is complete ruthlessness and indifference, as if all the people in the world are just like ants. This is. Wu Yu and the four of them were horrified. At this time, they found that the entire Saint Kishan seemed to have fallen into darkness. The golden eye tore through the void and appeared in the sky. With an extremely powerful and terrifying momentum, it completely destroyed the four of them. Confinement and confinement. Even Wu Yu couldn't even do somersaults at this time, and couldn't even move a finger. The four of them were all completely suppressed by the golden eyes. At this moment, they seemed to feel the arrival of the Emperor. This terrifying method was thousands of times more powerful than the immortal Emperor immortal like Tianyu Longzun. In fact, the minds of Wu Yu and the four others seemed to be sucked in at the next moment. A void vortex formed around the golden eyes. Indifferent pressure erupted from the vortex, and another layer of suppression completely locked them to the broken stone tablet. In the void above, the giant golden eye appeared from the sky and controlled the sky. Wu Yu and the others couldn't even say a word, so they could only watch helplessly as their companions around them were suppressed and completely imprisoned by the giant golden eyes. They could only communicate with each other through immortals. Wu Yu gritted his teeth and said, "This is Erlang God, Erlang True God." On the battlefield on the stone tablet just now, Erlang True God used this magical method, the Eye of Confinement. This is his third eye, may not come in person. Just his third eye can make us completely unable to move. How terrible would it be if it were him? Nanshan Wanjiao's face has turned pale now. He is completely unable to move. You can imagine what will happen next. Such treatment. Faced with this situation, Wu Yu basically already knew that it should be the ancient giant spirit god and the king of the country, so he went to call the true god Erlang for help. And with the status of Erlang True God, how could he, a mere boy who has not yet become an emperor immortal, fall in his eyes? So I just used the third eye to suppress Wu Yu. If Wu Yu's guess was correct, King Chiguo and the ancient giant spirit god would be arriving in a while. Just as he was thinking this, two laughters finally came from the side. Sure enough, they were the ancient giant spirit god and the king of the state. The two of them, with huge emperor immortal bodies, stepped through the void at this moment. When they saw Wu Yu and the four of them being completely restrained and suppressed, they showed a very arrogant smile. "Haha, no matter how slippery you are, can you escape the imprisoning eyes of true God Erlang?" The giant spirit god snorted coldly, showing great disdain for Wu Yu and the others. Although he couldn't catch Wu Yu, he never took Wu Yu seriously. So now, When true God Erlang takes action, he knows that it is impossible for Wu Yu to escape from his grasp. He turned over his hands and took out an era artifact, which was the evil spirit abyss that was used to imprison and torture Wu Yu. As soon as this era artifact appeared, it flew directly to the place where Wu Yu was, obviously to imprison him again. Stand up. This time, the three of you will be tortured by the evil spirit abyss. Who dares you to slip away from me? The ancient giant spirit god said with a vicious look on his face, with a little pleasure in his indifferent expression. For him, nothing in the past thousands of years has brought him such happiness. After all, he has been around for too long and is too boring most of the time. With this boy, the days to come won't be boring, King Shizhou said calmly. His expression was not as exaggerated as that of the giant spirit god, but he still stretched out his hand and used direct means to isolate Luo Bin and Wu Yu. Come on. To them, Luo Bin was an important figure in the Shenlong clan and could not be directly tortured or killed. After dealing with the three Wu Yes, Luo Bai could be sent back to the immortal Dragon Emperor realm. However, it was obvious that they were quite dissatisfied with the Shenlong clan's attitude toward Wu Yu. They actually helped Wu Yu conceal the news when Wu Yu appeared. Otherwise, they felt that Wu Yu had been caught by them long ago, so how could they really need Erlangshan's intervention? While chatting and laughing, King Chiguo and the ancient giant spirit god released the abyss of evil spirits, intending to include Wu Yu, Nanshan Wanjiao, and Yezixi in it, so that the ancient evil spirits could bite them and there would be no need for pain. Wu Yu had already tried it before, and it was a torture that made life worse than death. As for the giant golden eye in the sky, it always maintains the state of imprisoning Wu Yu and the four of them. There is only indifference in its eyes, without any emotion. It does not look like the eyes of a living being at all, but as if the sky is watching this piece of land. World. The imprisoning eye of the Erlang true God is now the most terrifying thing in the world for Wu Yu and the others. Although it is motionless, it leaves them with nowhere to escape. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1658. Despair came so quickly that Wu Yu and the other four did not react. When Luo Bin was isolated, she knew very well what Wu Yu, Nanshan Wanjiao, and Yezixi would face next. The ancient evil spirits in the epic artifact Evil Spirit Abyss can bring endless pain to people. Even Wu Yu, who suffered in it, was almost in agony when bitten by the ancient evil spirits. He could not even die, which made him lose hope in life. Her identity is the inheritor of the ancestor dragon of the Shenlong clan, so she can still escape and will be sent back to the immortal Dragon Emperor realm. But Wu Yu and the other three will be in big trouble once they are caught, and there is no possibility of escape at all. You must know that the one who is taking action now is one of the top gods in the heaven, Erlang Zhenshen. The imprisoned eye released by his third eye makes the entire broken Saint Kishan dark. The terrifying and cold power completely cages Wu Yu and the other three, unable to move. They could only watch the giant spirit holding the evil spirit abyss and approaching them, wanting to take them in and be bitten by the ancient evil spirits together. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Circled M. I was too arrogant this time. I didn't expect that after 10,000 years, they actually asked Erlang Shen for help. Wu Yu's heart sank to the bottom of the valley in an instant. Now even his somersault cloud has no effect. Under the eyes of confinement, there is no way to escape. It can be said that they are now completely bound. When they are taken into the evil spirit abyss, it will be even more difficult to escape. Wu Yu is fine. The evil spirit abyss really can't do anything to him. Isn't it just a little painful? He can bear it. But this time, Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi were implicated, which made Wu Yu feel a little painful. The main reason was that he didn't expect that they actually called for the help of Erlang Zhenshen, so they fell here. But how could Wu Yu be willing to die here like this? Above the sky, the golden eyes looked down at Wu Yu and his companions without any emotion, bringing them an infinite and terrifying power of confinement. This time, let's see how you can escape. Ha ha ha. The ancient giant spirit laughed loudly, and threw the evil spirit abyss in his hand quickly, trying to cover Wu Yu and the other three. As for the heavenly King Chiguo, he separated Luo Bin from her to prevent her from rushing to accompany Wu Yu suicidally. Judging from the past situation, this situation is not impossible. In that case, it would be difficult to explain to the Shenlong clan. Humph, if the Shenlong clan had not chosen to protect this kid, he would have fallen into our hands long ago. Fortunately, we finally succeeded now, the heavenly King Chiguo said steadily. He separated Luo Bin, and his eyes were also looking forward to seeing Wu Yu and the other three being taken into the evil spirit abyss. Thanks to the help of Erlang Zhenshen, they can't run away now. They dared to despise the majesty of our heavenly court, and this is their fate. The ancient giant spirit snorted coldly, and the evil spirit abyss had already enveloped Wu Yu and the others, and was about to take them in. Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi were both full of despair. They had never felt the taste of being bitten by ancient evil spirits, but it was conceivable that it was definitely not pleasant. It must be the most profound pain in the world. Once they were taken into the evil spirit abyss, how miserable would it be? But until now, they have never blamed Wu Yu. Since they walked with Wu Yu in the past, they had already decided to live and die with Wu Yu. Now even if they were caught together, they would not retreat at all to face this pain with Wu Yu. Luo Bin was isolated on the side, looking at Wu Yu and the other two who were about to be taken into the evil spirit abyss in pain, and 2 lines of clear tears flowed down. She didn't expect that Wu Yu was imprisoned by Erlang Zhenshen just to bring her out, and fell into such a desperate situation now, which made her feel a little guilty. If Wu Yu hadn't come to pick her up, she would definitely be living comfortably in the demon god realm now, right? However, she didn't think too much about it. After all, things have come to this, and she understands Wu Yu's feelings. This time, it was their inheritance that guided them to come up to Saint Kishan, and now they were blocked and imprisoned by Erlang Zhenshen, and there was nothing they could do. I just don't know if the predecessors of the inheritance will lend us a hand. Luo Bin had a glimmer of hope in her heart. After all, she had seen Wu Yu's predecessors in the evil spirit abyss show tyrannical means and forcibly send Wu Yu away from the epic artifact of the evil spirit abyss. As long as their predecessors are willing to take action, there should still be hope of escape. Of course, 3 of the 4 predecessors were completely killed in the scene on the stone tablet. They accepted the inheritance to avenge their predecessors. Now it is not very likely to expect the predecessors to appear and help. However, since the predecessors chose them as the successors, they should have left some life-saving things, right? Just as Luo Bin was thinking this, something strange happened in the field. The evil spirit abyss quickly approached, trying to take Wu Yu and the other 2 into it, but in the next moment, it was instantly blown away by a terrifying force. The terrifying force not only shook away the evil spirit abyss, but also broke the imprisonment on Wu Yu and the other 3. The golden imprisonment eye from the sky also showed a look of surprise at this moment. Originally, no matter what the situation was, there was no way for the golden eye to show any expression, but now this terrifying force broke out, shattering its imprisonment, and immediately attracted its attention. It's the epic artifact. Wu Yu and the other 2 were able to move at this time. They looked at each other immediately and saw joy in each other's eyes. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. The epic artifact hidden deep in their bodies, the 3 powerful existences from the predecessors of the inheritance, that is, the Ruyi Jingbang, the Shangbao Kanjin Palladium and the Jianjiao Zhenbao staff, at this moment, actually condensed into a phantom and appeared in front of them. At this moment, Wu Yu only felt a burst of blood boiling in his body. This Ruyi Jingbang actually appeared in such a desperate situation. It suddenly condensed and swept away suddenly. A burst of golden light flashed and instantly broke through the darkness of the entire Shenkishan. The blooming golden light actually competed with the imprisonment eye of Erlang Zhenshen on the sky, and even had a tendency to suppress it. Break. A proud tone that seemed to come from ancient times jumped out of the void, accompanied by the Ruyi Jinggubang's instantaneous enlargement. In the next moment, it actually stood up to the sky. This golden iron stick pierced the sky and rushed to the golden eye in an instant. The power of both sides exploded in the void of the sky. The Ruyi Jinggubang rushed straight to the sky. As soon as it appeared, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The void was shattered, and even the third eye of the Erlang Zhenshen in the sky was suppressed. This is not over yet. Just when the ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king Chiguo were both shocked, the Shangbaokanjin Palladium condensed in Nanshan Wanjiu's body suddenly turned into 9 stars and rivers, and also rushed towards the golden eye in the sky. The next moment, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The Ruyi Jinggubang and Shangbaokanjin Palladium actually joined hands at this time and rushed towards the eyes of the Erlang Zhenshen. In the entire Shenkishan, the darkness that was originally shrouded by the Eye of Imprisonment was swept away instantly. The space was broken, and the originally incomplete Shenkishan became even more shaky at this time. The space around Wu Yu and the others became a little broken. The power of the Ruyi Jinggubang and Shangbaokanjin Palladium was so terrifying that the earth shook as soon as they started. Not long after, the golden eyes that were originally extremely oppressive on the sky finally disappeared from their sight. The Ruyi Jinggubang and Shangbaokanjin Palladium finally fell from the sky. It can be seen that the sky was actually pierced with a crack, and 9 star rivers flowed in it, piercing the entire void of Shenkishan. When have Wu Yu and the others ever seen such a horrible scene? When the Ruyi Jinggubang and Shangbaokanjin Palladium joined forces to drive away the third eye of Erlang Zhenshen, the demon-subduing staff condensed from Yezixi's body turned into a dark whirlwind. The crescent-shaped demon-subduing staff formed a huge dark vortex, which forced the ancient giant spirit god and the heavenly king Chiguo back in an instant. The two powerful immortal emperors of the heavenly court, who were now completely unable to resist Wu Yu, were instantly repelled by a mere demon-subduing staff. As for the evil spirit abyss that originally wanted to take Wu Yu and the other two into it, it had long been collapsed to who knows where. How is it possible? The ancient giant spirit god looked incredulous. Before, Wu Yu had escaped from his evil spirit abyss, and this time, even the evil spirit abyss did not work. Wu Yu and his men had already erupted with terrifying power, and even Erlang Zhenshen had to temporarily avoid the itch. The heavenly king Chiguo was even more shocked. He felt the huge black vortex formed by the crescent-shaped staff. Even if he was caught in it, it would be extremely difficult to survive. However, this was just a magic weapon of a few fairy kings. How could it have such a terrifying power? Could it be that they all obtained some extraordinary inheritance? Wu Yu saw their shock and made a prompt decision. He did not dare to waste time and directly took Nanshan Wanjiu and Yezixi into the fusion tower. Then, while the other party was not paying attention, he also took Luo Ben in. Let's go. Wu Yu could not think of any safe place now. After thinking about it, it was only the demon god realm. The somersault cloud rolled over countless times. In just a blink of an eye, they left the Saint Kishan, the giant spirit god, and the heavenly king Chiguo far away. Then, Wu Yu dared to lead everyone across the void and return to the demon god realm. This was the only place he knew that might be safe. Even someone as powerful as Erlang Shen can find them in any corner of the heavenly palace, but he may not be able to go to the demon god realm. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1659. The World of Demons and Gods. Wu Yu brought the other 3 people to this place and finally breathed a sigh of relief. Once here, it must not be that easy for true God Erlang to find them. After all, except for Wu Yu himself, he has never seen anyone else who can come to the demon god realm. Let's take a rest first. They had just been intercepted by the giant spirit god and King Dhritarashtra in the holy Kishan. The situation was tense and everyone broke out in a cold sweat. Now it was time to relax. This time, we were saved again by the seniors who passed down the inheritance to us. Nanshan Wanjaya was still frightened, but he guessed with a solemn expression, according to what we just saw on the stone tablet, the seniors who passed on to us should have died. What saves us now should be the power they left in the artifact of the era. If the prediction is correct, although our three era artifacts are powerful, they are limited, and they will not be able to save us too many times. Everyone understood the meaning of Nanshan Wanjaya's words, including Wu Yu, who nodded. This possibility was still very high. Although the artifact of the era is so powerful that even true God Erlang couldn't resist it and retreated for a moment, the power contained in it is absolutely limited. Otherwise, wouldn't Wu Yu and the others be invincible? It's okay to travel across the heavens. Anyway, when faced with danger, the era artifact will come out to save lives. Therefore, the meaning of Nanshan Wanjaya's words is very obvious. If it is not necessary in the future, you should be more careful and never be arrogant. After all, the power in the era artifact may be exhausted. Try to be careful in your actions in the future. Situations like the one just now must be avoided. Wu Yu nodded and confirmed. He was still a little scared about the situation just now. Fortunately, the three era artifacts of the Ruyi Golden Cudgel appeared at the critical moment and saved them. Having said that, they remembered that they were now in the demon god realm, but what about the three era artifacts? Just as they were thinking this, three void whirlpools suddenly appeared beside them, and three small dots rushed out of the void whirlpools instantly. They were the three epical artifacts that had just saved them. They actually followed them to the demon god realm, which made Wu Yu and the others suddenly happy. Ruyi Golden Cudgel. Shangbaokan Golden Palladium. The true treasured staff for subduing demons. Wu Yu, Nanshan Wanjaya and Yezixi respectively held their own inherited era artifacts in their hands, and could feel a tyrannical power flowing inside, but for the time being, the power they could use was not much. When these three artifacts of the era came into their hands, they each had the power to stab their arms with a small opening. Just like Wu Yu conquered the bronze ball before, they refined these three artifacts of the era respectively. Moreover, it was these three era artifacts that actively pierced their bodies and allowed them to perform sacrifices successfully. This scene also means that the three of them have finally been recognized by these three artifacts of the era, and can finally use these three artifacts of the era. Whether it was Wu Yu, Nanshan Wanjaya, or Yezixi, they all looked excited at this time. You must know that they have been coveting these three era artifacts for a long time since they got this inheritance. These are the top imperial artifacts. Their power can even break the heaven and the earth. It depends on whether the three of them can use all their power. Came out. Wu Yu held the golden cudgel in his hand and looked at it carefully, unable to put it down. If this metal iron rod, which was made entirely of gold, fell into the hands of a mortal, it would be impossible to lift it. But to Wu Yu now, this weight is just a trivial matter. He held the golden cudgel in his hand and waved it casually a few times. He found that the artifact of the era was quite thick, and there was an eternal aura of endless years flowing on it. It could be seen at a glance that this should be something that had existed for countless years. Next, Wu Yu and the others began to study how to use these three era artifacts, mainly because it was not easy to bring out their respective powers. There are 9 seals on this Ruyi Golden Cudgel. Soon Wu Yu discovered that there were 9 seals on this era artifact. I don't know who set up the confinement of this 9-layered seal. Now only the first layer of seal has been broken, allowing Wu Yu to use the first layer of ability of this era artifact, which is called Heaven and Earth Shatter. The Heaven and Earth Shatter is the first killing move of this Ruyi Golden Cudgel. It can shatter space when used. Whether it is the universe or the void, it can be shattered by this move. If it is used to attack the opponent, the power of this move is dozens of times greater than the previous Yun seal. It is too tyrannical. If we could use this heaven-shattering and earth-shattering weapon, we wouldn't have needed to be so dangerous when we faced off against Tianyu Longzun before. He could just hit it with a stick, shattering the void and shaking the entire space. Tianyu Longzun might even be in danger. I can't even eat the sticks. The more Wu Yu thought about it, the more excited he became. He kept holding the Ruyi golden cudgel in his hand, waving it in the boundless wilderness of the demon god realm, and sometimes used the heaven and earth shattering method, shattering the space everywhere. If the strength is tyrannical to a certain extent, if it can break the void and space, then the war will have a great impact on this world and time. Wu Yu saw that the surrounding space was destroyed a lot, and immediately stopped. Now the demon god realm has suffered heavy losses and is on the verge of destruction. If he continues like this, it may not be difficult to annihilate the entire demon god realm. Of course he didn't want to see this result, so he stopped trying. The current demon god world can no longer withstand battles above the Emperor Immortal level. Once someone who has reached the Emperor Immortal realm fights here, the damage to the demon god world will be even more serious. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. This sky-shattering and earth-splitting, isn't it the magical power that was used on the third eye of Erlang Zhenshen when he was in Shenqi Tian before? Wu Yu now also discovered that when he repelled the third eye of Erlang Zhenshen, the Ruyi Jingbang used this sky-shattering and earth-splitting method to shatter the entire void of the sky, as if the entire Shenqi Tian had collapsed. That is the strongest power of the Ruyi Jingbang. And the sky-shattering and earth-splitting that Wu Yu used now naturally cannot reach that level, so Wu Yu guessed that as his cultivation level improves, the power of the Ruyi Jingbang will become stronger and stronger. He kept waving the Ruyi Jingbang, and after a while, he saw Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi also trying their epic artifacts. Shangbaokanjin Palladium is a 9-toothed rake, which looks quite funny, but its power is definitely not bad. Nanshan Wanjiao waved the Shangbaokanjin Palladium, and instantly condensed 9-star rivers, rushing towards the void in front. The power of these 9-star rivers is not much different from the earth-shattering power of Wu Yu's Ruyi Jingbang. Look at me, heavenly soldiers. Nanshan Wanjiao laughed loudly, and the 9-foot rake swept out, and 9 destructive star rivers swept across, destroying everything along the way, leaving nothing behind, and even the void became more fragile. This heavenly soldiers, in cooperation with heaven collapse and earth splitting, repelled the third eye of Erlang Zhenshen. Wu Yu thought to himself, and found that the Ruyi Jingbang and the first magical power of Shangbaokanjin Palladium could cooperate with each other. First, the 9 stars of heavenly soldiers swept through, making all the void in front fragile. Then the heaven collapse and earth splitting were performed, and the Ruyi Jingbang rushed straight into the sky, and the crushing effect made the fragile void directly shatter. This was the situation when Erlang Zhenshen was repelled, which surprised Wu Yu a little. Although Nanshan Wanjiao's realm has not been improved now, relying on Shangbaokanjin Palladium's heavenly soldiers, in cooperation with Wu Yu, the power of Wu Yu's heaven collapse and earth splitting can be increased by several times. On the other side, Yezixi was practicing with the demon subduing staff. When she was a little girl, this epic artifact was twice as tall as her when she first got it. It felt very strange to hold it in her hand, just like a baby holding a big knife. However, soon as she mastered the epic artifact, it could change to match her height, and it was extremely agile to hold in her hand. At the same time, she could also use a method called reincarnation, which could make the epic artifact rotate continuously to form a huge black vortex. This reincarnation method, where no grass grows wherever it goes, is a terrifying method of harvesting lives. It was this move that forced the heavenly king Chiguo to retreat and let Wu Yu bring Luo Bin out. The epic artifacts of the 3 people now show a kind of ability, and Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi also found that there are indeed multiple seals on the epic artifacts. Now only one of them has been unlocked, and it is unknown who set the ban. In any case, the combat effectiveness of the three people has improved a lot now. At least in this demon god world, even without Wu Yu, the three of them will not encounter any great danger. Although Luo Ben did not get the epic artifact, the battle just now also gave her some insights and inspiration. If she retreats for a period of time, she will make great progress. The most important thing is that Wu Yu and his team have discovered the truth about the death of the great sage Qi Tian and his team from the stone tablet of Saint Qi Tian. They were killed by the gods and ghosts of heaven and hell. Since Wu Yu has obtained the inheritance of the great sage Qi Tian, he will naturally avenge him. This is beyond doubt. Now that it is discovered that the enemies of the great sage Qi Tian and his team are actually the group of people who destroyed the demon god world, there is no need to say more about what Wu Yu should do next. Since he will take action against them sooner or later and avenge the great sage Qi Tian, he will also avenge the emperor demon predecessors in the demon god world. After going around for a long time, the inheritance and the demon god world are actually connected together. This makes Wu Yu sigh. Although the specific truth is still unknown, why the gods in heaven and the ghosts in hell want to destroy the demon world and kill the Monkey King, Wu Yu must become stronger if he wants to get the truth. In this case, I am qualified to use the Eternal Emperor Burial. I will avenge the blood feud of the Emperor Demon predecessors. Wu Yu raised his head and looked into the distance, his expression full of determination. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 1660. In the demon god realm, Wu Yu first found the only surviving eternal world tree among the 5 demon emperors. The main purpose was to see how Zhu Ying's current situation was. It was soon discovered that Zhu Ying was in good condition in the demon god realm. Under the protection of the eternal demon emperor, no one in the demon god realm dared to provoke Zhu Ying. Now Zhu Ying mainly practices in the territory of the Heavenly King Demon Emperor, one of the original 5 demon emperors. Originally belonging to the Heavenly King and Demon Emperor, that is, the most dense mountain forest in the Heavenly King Empire now belongs to Zhu Ying. He practices in the best place in the entire demon god realm. Looking at the entire demon god realm, this is already the place with the most immortal spiritual energy. A rich place. Under this situation, although the entire demon and god world tends to fall apart, Zhu Ying's cultivation is still improving at a very fast pace. Seeing that Zhu Ying was in good condition, Wu Yu felt relieved. At least in this world of demons and gods, no one could pose a threat to Zhu Ying. All the various Taixu immortal formations originally set up by the Heavenly King Demon Emperor can now be used by Zhu Ying. Even if the Eternal World Tree comes in person, it will not be that easy to break through the Taixu immortal formation. Wu Yu found Zhu Ying and explained the situation to him. Now we confirm that if we want to avenge the seniors we inherited, it is equivalent to avenging the senior emperor demons of the demon god world, so we decided to go to the Eternal Emperor's burial and borrow the bodies of the senior emperor demons. You come with us, go over there. Finally, Wu Yu said to Zhu Ying. In fact, although Zhu Ying occupies the best territory in the demon god realm, it is still very difficult to progress in cultivation. Even from the time Wu Yu and the others left until now, Zhu Ying has not been able to improve even to the first level of cultivation. Although the territory of the Heavenly King and Demon Emperor is the best in the world of demons and gods, it is still not comparable to that of the Heavenly Court. No matter how abundant the fairy spiritual energy is, it is still not as good as 1% of the ordinary places in the Heavenly Court. This is the gap. So when Wu Yu came over to explain, Zhu Ying agreed without even thinking, no problem, okay. There is a big gap in realm between Zhu Ying and Wu Yu now, but it does not affect the relationship between them at all. Because Zhu Ying knew very well that Wu Yu was not the kind of person who would talk coldly to his friends just because his level and strength exceeded them. No matter how big the gap is between them, even the gap between mortals and gods, to Wu Yu, friends are friends and brothers are brothers, there is no difference. Let's go. Wu Yu patted Zhu on the shoulder, laughed, and took him to the burial of the Yongsheng Emperor. At this stage, near the entrance to the tomb of the Eternal Emperor in the Demon God realm, the Eternal World Tree has set up countless Taixu immortal formations to prevent other demon gods from entering this area. Wu Yu found the Eternal World Tree and gave him some instructions, asking him to guard outside and still not allow any demon gods to enter the Eternal Emperor's burial. Wu Yu, on the other hand, took Zhu, Nanshan Wanjiao, Yezixi and Luo Bai to open the Yongsheng Emperor's burial and enter it. Is this my sister-in-law? The Eternal Demon Emperor has good eyesight. He saw the relationship between Wu Yu and Luo Bin at a glance, and immediately began to flatter him, as expected of my sister-in-law. She is so graceful and graceful. She is simply stunning. No one in our entire demon and god world is so beautiful. People, brother Wu Yu, don't worry, you can go in, I will guard the outside and I will never let anyone in. Wu Yu was quite satisfied with his attitude, so he didn't care too much about him. He turned around and led everyone to the burial place of Emperor Yongsheng. With the activation of the bronze ball, the huge bronze door appeared in front of Wu Yu again. By controlling the bronze ball, an epical artifact, he could open the bronze door and let several people file in together. Enter. After they entered, Wu Yu let the bronze door close and then disappeared. It was not easy for outsiders to find the entrance, let alone enter the Yongsheng Emperor's tomb. Entering the Yongsheng Emperor's burial once again, Wu Yu now felt a lot of emotions. When I first entered, I was full of doubts and fears about this place. But now, he only has respect for the immortal emperor's burial in his heart. This place was built by the predecessors of the demon god realm to use corpses to avenge them. What a great thing this is! As soon as he entered the tomb of the eternal emperor, he returned to the tomb guarding hall. He released the little grey macaque from the fusion tower and let it play nearby. When he returned to this place, it could be seen that the little grey macaque was a little depressed, but he was still very happy to come out of the fusion tower, running around chirping. Next, Nanshan Wanjiao, Yezixi, Luo Bai and Zhu Ying, plus the little grey macaque, rested and practiced in the tomb guard hall. The fairy spiritual energy in this place is quite abundant, surpassing all places in the demon god realm, but it is still far inferior to that in heaven, and is not suitable for long-term cultivation. Just practicing here will be more than 10 times faster than practicing in the territory of the Heavenly King and Demon Emperor. Zhu Ying said with some emotion. He thought that the current collapse of the demon god realm was the result of the joint destruction of heaven and hell, and he couldn't help but find it difficult to accept that Wu Yu actually wanted to help the demon god realm take revenge. As a demon god, it goes without saying that Zhu Ying was excited. From Zhu Ying's point of view, for such a major matter, others might not even have time to hide, but Wu Yu took the initiative to get involved. Although it is related to inheritance, it can also be seen that Wu Yu has a sense of responsibility and is not the kind of timid person who is afraid of getting into trouble. Carrying this hatred on your shoulders is not an easy task, it is a heavy burden. They were practicing in the tomb guarding hall, and Wu Yu returned to the tombs where the Yongsheng Emperor was buried. He had already seen the tombs without the fog, and now it was even more clear. At a glance, all the tombs of the immortal Emperor demons are protected by the Era Divine Array. Some time ago, Wu Yu had some time to ponder the records about the Era God Array in the Bronze Ball. Now he is finally going to officially start studying these Era God Array. You have to eat one bite at a time, and this is especially true when you understand the Era Divine formation. Wu Yu must first lock in one target and break it before considering other Era God formations. The first target he targets is the tomb of the Wuxian Emperor. This place there is a storm silver blade ball Era Divine Array to protect it. This was the Era Divine formation that Wu Yu was familiar with, so he felt that it would be easier to break through, so he tried it with this Era God formation first. Under the protection of the storm silver blade ball, the tomb of the Wuxian emperor has been quiet for who knows how many years. Now it finally welcomes Wu Yu, a man who is ready to accept the wish for revenge. This storm silver blade ball is more violent than the one set up by the Jade Emperor when he was in hell. Wu Yu first observed the entire era god formation from the periphery. According to the guidance of the bronze ball, he could clearly see the veins and energy flow in the entire storm silver blade era god formation. These would allow him to more quickly grasp the entire era god formation. The assistance of the era god array. But is it so easy to crack the era divine formation? Even with the guidance of the bronze ball, it would take a long time for Wu Yu to crack the storm silver blade ball. Countless silver storms formed into sword lights, whistling and flowing turbulently around the tomb of Emperor Wuxian. Any creature that dared to approach would be torn to pieces, even Wu Yu, who had a small bronze ball, was no exception. Fortunately, he is now at the level of the 8 heavenly immortal king, and his combat effectiveness has reached the level of the immortal emperor immortal. It will still take a long time for the storm silver blade ball to hurt him. I remember that when we first came into contact, Wu Yu would be defeated very quickly, and even his indestructible body couldn't hold on. If compared, the destructive power of the storm silver blade era divine formation exceeds that of Tianyu Longzun's heaven lost god floating life destruction technique in the immortal dragon emperor realm. Of course, Wu Yu could not persist. Even now, Wu Yu can only persist in the era god array for a little longer, but cannot stay in it forever. Under the guidance of the bronze ball, Wu Yu was able to quickly figure out the internal context and details of the entire era god formation. Of course, breaking it required a detailed understanding of the entire era god formation. This was not a matter of time. It can be done in a while. The entire era divine formation is composed of tens of billions of magic formations. For each of these magic formations, Wu Yu needs to spend time to understand, try, and break through. Fortunately, using the guidance of the bronze ball, he can understand this. The respective functions of the tens of billions of magic circles, and how to crack them. The main reason is that there are too many magic formations in this era divine formation. Even if you know how to crack each magic formation, it will be extremely difficult to crack all the tens of billions of magic formations. Without the help of the bronze ball, it would be almost impossible for Wu Yu to crack the era divine formation. Even if he could, it would take at least 100,000 years. The bronze ball shortened this time by at least 10 times. Wu Yu saved a lot of time to delve into the main context of the era divine formation, and he also knew the details of each magic formation clearly. It can be said that it is much more convenient to just focus on deciphering these magic formations. Among the tens of billions of magic formations, 1/10 of them are formation eyes, which are relatively important places. It is very difficult for Wu Yu to crack these formation eyes. The time required to crack one formation eye is it can crack other magic circles more than 100 times. The base of the entire era god formation is located in the center of the storm silver blade sphere. Only by breaking out all the holes in the formation can one reach the base and try to break through the base. Moreover, the many formation eyes of the storm silver blade ball will automatically recover after being cracked for a period of time. This is the most difficult part of cracking this era god formation. If the cracking speed is not fast enough, Wu Yu will not be able to break the entire era divine formation. The main difficulty lies in breaking through the formation base. As long as the formation base is broken, the entire era god formation will have no core, and a complete breakthrough will be just around the corner. It's a pity that every time Wu Yu cracks all the formation eyes and wants to crack the formation base, the time is very short. The destroyed formation eyes will be restored in a short time, leaving him too little time to crack the formation base. So he can only keep trying.